Alright, good evening and welcome to the Bullshit Channel. I had a video up and only 2 people saw it, and I took it down because I'd made a few mistakes in it, and being that I don't have editing software, I just couldn't edit the video, so I'm making a new one. I hadn't posted a video in a while, a week or better. My depression's acting up, and I haven't felt like it. So, I've been watching and doing research on this continuing SJW bullshit and the left wing bullshit, and the more I dig, the more bullshit I find. The thing is, it's nice to, see something piques your interest and look at it. And for a while, I thought I didn't have a dog in the show, because most of it's going on at college campuses. Here in Akron, there hasn't been any protest or people hurt over this shit that I know of. But it was something interesting. And I come to find out I actually do have a dog in the show. And I'll get to that in a minute. For people that don't know or don't care or don't give a shit, you need to get off your asses and look at what the shit's going on in these colleges. I don't have a kid in college. I'm 59 years old. I have no aspirations for going to college. At this time in my life, there's no need. I'm not an impressionable 20-year-old that can be influenced by these self-professed communist professors that if you don't believe they're communist, you can look. It's all over the net. It's all over YouTube. Numbers are there. At one time it was the ratio of left-wing professors to other political stance professors was 2-to-1, then it went up to 5-to-1. Now I've seen numbers that indicate 20-to-1. And what that means in the long haul is people with kids in college right now are being brainwashed into a communist mind think. If you have kids that are all of a sudden they're coming home and saying, yeah, if you're not for Black Lives Matters, you're a fucking Nazi. Or your daughter comes home and all of a sudden she's a feminazi and men are the evil enemy, and that blah blah rhetoric that they never spouted before they went to college. If you're funding them, I'd pull my funding and bring them home and straighten them out. But, I figured, well, without, I'm not in college, I don't have any kids in college and shit like that. And, what I still continue to think is, they'll do their 4 years or 6 years or whatever the fuck. And they'll get out in the real world and they're going to get their asses handed to them, because that's not the way it is out in the real world. The gender wage gap is bullshit. It doesn't exist anymore. The systemic racism against blacks and other minorities is bullshit. That's long gone. It's been gone for a while. That white males are privileged and, we have all the power and all this other crap is bullshit. That's all propaganda speak that's coming out of the left wing. And, that's the reason I no longer consider myself a Democrat, because it's all being funded by the Democrats. The Democrats no longer represent the working man. And I'm not even sure the Republicans represent big business anymore. I'm sure, there's still influence there because Trump is trying to roll back environmental regulations and shit like that that'll make him and his buddies more money because they'll be able to freely pollute with no consequence. But I don't wholly disagree with Trump. I think Trump just might be the president we needed this time, because he's just shaking the shit out of the fucking established political world. But that's another matter. What I heard there was a thing, if you don't follow this stuff, there was a Freedom of Speech Week that was supposed to be held at Berkeley. It had been last week now. And Berkeley did everything in its power to block. And eventually they did succeed in blocking it. It ended up being a one-day deal, and speakers backed out and all this other crap. Well, I've watched videos from both sides of the deal because, hey, I was in the military. That's part of the thing we stood for was, protecting free speech. And here is this loudmouth, doesn't know how to have a conversation without screaming and yelling woman who's a professed communist, feminist, left-winger, and she's naming off all the minorities that her organization represents. And this is where I find out that I have a dog in the show. I'm a disabled vet. I'm on a VA pension, and I get 12 grand a year, and that's what I live on. I've said that in other videos. And I'm, for the most part, content doing that. Now, the reason that they kind of sidestep into disabled veterans speaking up for them, supposedly, is they're supposedly fighting for equality for disabled vets. Well, it's nice to say, but when you look deeper, you find out that they don't give a rat's ass about disabled vets. They're just one more minority that gets thrown into the mix that, we speak for these people, when in fact they do not. I can tell you as a disabled vet that female does not speak for me. Now, I don't claim to speak for disabled vets. I know a few. I don't know what their stance are on it. But I would hope that they would feel like I do. The big thing, with, I grew up with the Cold War and all this other crap, which, we found out later was a crock of shit. Vietnam was a crock of shit. We were lied to about what started it, and basically it's, it was to put money in the war profiteers' pockets at the expense of our people. Now to have, I spent 14 and a half years in the military. I was in Desert Storm. I was eventually discharged, honorable discharge under medical conditions from the Navy. And, my kids growing up, I was married in 79. I went into service in 78, so I was already a year in the service when I got married, and we had 2 kids. And I missed birthdays. I missed holidays. I missed soccer games. I missed concerts. I missed a lot of stuff because I was out on the briny deep protecting our country. I know now that's a crock of shit. Our country was never really in danger at any point, no matter what anybody says. If you look at the bottom line, and I hate to say it, but every war since the Revolutionary War has been about greed. You know, oh yeah, you know, we needed to get away from taxes. Well, the founding fathers were slave owners. They were perverts. They were non-religious, which is a good, you know, I guess 1 out of 3 ain't bad. And being a pervert, you know, hell, you know, that's not, in my book, not a bad thing either. But it was about, they didn't want to see money going to the king over in England. They wanted the money to stay here so they would have a bigger share. Revolutionary, you know, the war between the states basically boiled down to money. World War I made people rich. World War II made people rich. Korea made people rich. Hell, they're still making people rich because we're still in Korea. Nam made people filthy rich. The war, you know, Desert Storm that I was in, and then all the sandbox wars after that, it's all about making somebody rich. And it ain't me. And it's not the majority of the military people. You know, how many graft and corruption scandals have to come out before people start realizing that us funding the military complex is fucking us over? But anyways, this female claims that she speaks for disabled vets. And I'm here to tell you right now, in no uncertain terms, that fucking bitch does not speak for me. I'm all for vets being accommodated because of disabilities they received in combat or in service. If a dude, you know, suffered an amputation, or, you know, he got screwed up by an IED, or you know, a gunshot wound, or, you know, any number of things. The shit that was put off from the burning fires of the oil wells in my war, and the stuff that we were shot up with prior to going in country has messed up a lot of people. So, you know, if somebody, which I have not seen any instances, and I've been on several college campuses that were not wheelchair accessible. You know, if a dude, because he got his brain scrambled from an IED or whatever, you know, needs an accommodation to where he, you know, he might be a little bit slower than the rest of the students, but he's able to do the work, you know, he might, you know, I don't see any problem with giving her an extra 30, 40, an hour, 2 hours, you know, to take a final exam or something like that. But, you know, I don't see how disabled vets are being discriminated against on any college campus. I have seen no videos made by disabled vets claiming that they'd been discriminated against. You know, there's going to be some things we can't do as a disabled vet. You know, that would be like if I went, you know, I went to Harvard or whatever and said, you know, I want to be a brain surgeon and I want you to, you know, accommodate my disabilities so I can do that. I wouldn't, that's stupid. That's fucking ignorant. You know, they have to make the concessions that benefit the majority. It's not that I don't have an IQ to be a brain surgeon. I don't have the temperament to be a brain surgeon. Hell, I because of my disabilities and my depression and shit, I barely have the temperament to be around other people most of the time. So I would not impose on a college to acquiesce to my demands. That's, you know, that's like the people that pray to God. I would not impose on my gods for selfish matters in that way. Yeah, it's stupid. But it pissed me off. Okay, this woman, and I'm even loath to give her that term. I think I'll continue to call her a female. What she stands for, if people don't know what the left wing has become, they are what is called a postmodern organization. And part of that postmodern stuff is there are no truths. They can see a bird and say, that's a choo-choo train. And if anybody disagrees with them, they're a bigot or racist, or whatever. And we all know that if it has 2 feet, wings, and feathers, it's a friggin' bird. Okay, it's not a choo-choo train. People that make that kind of bullshit argument, to me, isn't too bright. What are we going to do? Throw out 1,000 years of biology so these people can be delusional in their opinions? I'm a guy. Okay, long hair, beard, pecker, which I'm not going to show you. I'm a dude. Okay, the last time I checked, and I just went to the bathroom before I fired this camera up, so I definitely know I'm a dude. Okay? That's biology. I was born this way. Okay, I was born white. I don't remember being in the womb and getting a checklist. Okay, here's your wish list. Do you want to be white, black, Asian, Puerto Rican, blah, blah, blah? Do you want to be a man? Do you want to be a woman? Blah, if that happened, I don't remember it. And there's just some things that you can't buck the biology. You can't buck the science on it. Now, something I have said that people have heard me say, and I truly believe, I don't believe in right and wrong. I don't believe in heaven and hell. I don't believe in sin. What I believe and what I try to live my life by is right and not right. And by that I mean it's right for me to be a druid. It's not right for me to be a Christian. But that's not to say that I think Christians shouldn't be Christian. We're all entitled to our own delusions. And if I want to have multiple friends that are invisible, that I can't see, it's happening. And that's a truth for me, which is not a truth for them. So, that's what I try to look at. This world is not black and white. It's never been black and white. Contrary to what monotheists try to tell you. And, they're even being, the left wing is even by the experts being described as religious. They don't have the God concept or whatever, but they do have the ultimate concept that we're right and you're wrong. If you don't adhere to our dogma, again, we're right and you're wrong. That's very monotheistic. And, that's another problem I have with the right is I don't care what you believe in, but don't try to force my beliefs down my throat, your beliefs down my throat, and tell me you have all the answers. So that gets me back to this female with her bullhorn screaming. No way, shape, or form does that woman, female, I keep giving her the benefit of the doubt and calling her a woman, female, the right to speak for me. It's another one of them things they want to lump everything together, and I believe the term they're using now is a centrist. And, you know, I look at all aspects of feminism. I've looked at all aspects of the Black Lives Matter. I've looked at all this racism bullshit and the Nazis and crap. You know, I got news for you. There's only roughly about 4,000 of what would have been the Klan back in the day. You know, 4,000 out of a population of 360 million people here. That's not even 1% of 1%. You know, so I don't think they're a real big threat. And, you know, the Antifa fucking fighting with them down in Charleston. A fart in a windstorm. And also, too, the one thing that I see, and some of the experts are starting to say it now, that the left wing will burn itself out eventually, because the majority of the people in the United States are smart enough to realize they're bullshit. You know, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. You know, I'm sitting here in my AMHA apartment and, you know, watching my TV, and to have some female that no way, shape, or form knows what it's like to be in the military, has no way, shape, or form knows what it's like to be in combat, that no way, shape, or form knows what it's like to live as a disabled vet, or actually a disabled person at all, because obviously she's walking around and got a bullhorn and shit, and at least no physical impairments. I would not hesitate to say maybe she has some mental shit going on, but she don't know us. And us, I mean disabled vets. And to, you know, be grouped together in, you know, the same breath as, you know, Black Lives Matter and the feminists and, you know, the transgender and all that shit's insulting. It's not that I have anything against people that are part of those groups. Well, I do when they get violent. And I do when they want me to change my language to suit them. And I do when they try to group me in with a bunch of idiots. I hope, you know, if you've watched my other videos, I know I don't speak too well sometimes, and that's because of part of my disability. But I'm not an idiot. I'm not stupid. And I have a voice. You know, I have a voice that I can use. And I do not take kindly to anyone saying that I can't. And that's just the way it is. The left is full of bullshit. The deeper you dig into it, you find more bullshit. And when you get to the bottom of the deal, you find some person getting rich off the donations that are, you know, people in good conscience are giving them to make their lives better and to get rich. And that's, you know, the epitome of bullshit. Don't give money to these groups because they're not getting to the people they should be getting to. You know, her saying that she speaks for disabled vets, I haven't seen any money from her. The Black Lives Matters people, the people that are, you know, out in the streets and shit, I'll guarantee you haven't seen any money from them. And, you know, they've had some extremely large donations from the Democrats. George Soros being one of them, donated in one lump sum, $33 million. So somebody's getting rich somewhere. And on a parting note, I'm going to say it. You know, in my research, I've seen studies of intelligence and shit like that. And the solid claim seems to be there's roughly 50 million people with an IQ of 85 and below, which is below average. And I think the left found them. So, you know, take it for what it is. And good night from the Bullshit Channel.